Good morning. Yeah, it is working. I've got a different viewpoint today because I'm in between travelling backwards and forwards, basically not for me to take a flight, but to put somebody on a flight. And the SD cards or something are missing. It's not an SD card or something, so I've got to do this one on my iPad. So this is the view. It's from behind me. Today's reading is going to be Your Soul Whisper, which I haven't done for a while. Basically, it's a check-in to see where you are, something that you're doing well, and how you can possibly... It's like a cheer. It's like a little cheer from somebody who's not here. Yeah, that's what it is. You've got 3 choices. First one is 8 of Swords. The second one is I always get this one, the 7 of Swords. And the third one is the 5 of Pentacles. Just choose the picture, not so much the meaning, but choose the picture that grabs your attention. There you go. Okay, this has got a very sweet, sad feeling about it. Actually, the view's quite good from here. It does actually look brighter. It makes me feel for you. There's a feeling of somebody who's genuinely, consistently optimistic. There's a feeling here of somebody that's going through a rough time, maybe to do with, I don't know whether with this card in the centre, whether it's to do with family or just some emotional problem, relationships, something to do that is, basically exchanging emotions. And there's a feeling as well in this that you always want harmony. It's part of your personality. You like people to feel good. You like the situation to be smooth. And you're always running underneath, and I say underneath the water with the High Priestess, running underneath everybody's thoughts, everybody's feelings, trying to preempt what's going to happen next, and trying to do what I guess is the big thing, the right thing, always to make the right choice here. This to me, I feel like I'm going to spoil it right at the beginning and give you what I'm thinking, and I want to leave it to the end, but I'm not good at that. There's a real cheer from someone who's not here, with the 6 of Wands at the end, with this really soulful feeling in this pile of you're doing the right thing regardless of how it looks like on the surface to you. It's like this to me is all about how you are developing rather than the battle of the outward circumstance. You've got the 5 of Wands down here. Oh, let me explain. You've got the 10 of Wands and the 10 of Swords here, which to me is you internally, what's going on inside your head. And that's hardship, that's endings, that's a feeling of everything feels difficult to get a flow. Then you've got the Justice card here, which is something that you need. You're one of those people that thrive on harmony, normality. Is that a word? I don't know. It sounded good when I said it. I don't really know, actually. But you've got here, under here, oh my gosh, my eyes, the 5 of Wands, all little bunnies here. With the emotions in the card where everything's like built up and everything's fine and you're happy because everybody's fed, dinner's in front of you, workmates are saying hello, that type of feeling. Lots of people involved. And I think that with the Knight of Wands and the 6 of Wands at the end, you're always the one that takes it on the chin, or always tries to think of the best thing to say, or always says to other people, let that go, that's not important. And I feel that the cheer for you is you're doing a fantastic job at being your best self. And the outward circumstances are, to some point, irrelevant. It's almost like a game where they're being pushed through you. These circumstances are being pushed at you. And it's like, okay, just imagine if we were in some sort of simulation. Just imagine if that really was true, and you've got all these energies flowing through you. It's like, to me, I was running today, rare occasion at the moment, and I kept thinking, God, we're like sluice gates. I don't even know what a sluice gate is, where you sort of open up and all the energies come through you at different times, and you're trying to let that energy flow through you. So you're having like different feelings and emotions, and we change inside ourselves at certain times, and sometimes it can be really difficult, and I feel that you're going through a difficult patch with the energy that's pushing through you at the moment from different sluice gates, but you're still trying to do your best in every situation. You've got the Magician card and the Page of Pentacles, which again, to me, with this difficult cards at the top, has again an optimistic sweetness about it. The Magician card is somebody who uses their mind in a very masculine way to forcefully look at the best way forward. And the Page of Pentacles is then you put that into action. And the Queen of Cups there is that you relate to people, you try and make the best of people, relate to them with your heart. Which, this may sound ridiculous, but I actually having at the moment a bit of an epiphany with regards to how different people relate. Most of the time it's negative and positive at the same time, because we're all so different, and when people relate in different ways to perhaps my family, the sort of general way that we relate, it's a bit of a shock, but it's really, really good for me. I've got a feeling that sorry, my dog's coming in. She's coming in for a walk, I can hear her. I've got a feeling here that you're tired. I've got a feeling here there's somebody in particular, or a group of people in particular, who you feel that you're always feeding in some way, and you're always trying to keep everything above board and everything safe and everything, bat it back down and make sure everything just is smooth here. And because the Five of Wands, I know they look like bunnies, but they're normally fighting and they've got sticks in each other's heads. So I just feel that you've fed up with trying to be the good guy all the time. Let me put some extra cards on here. What would I'm saying in my head? I am saying, what would somebody who wasn't here be saying about your Queen of Cups, the Queen of Cups? That to me is genuinely, you just are a very loving, kind, mature person who puts other people first. And if we're all here to basically not have an ego, why would we put ourselves first? And so many people, including myself, we do that. It's natural. It's really hard. We're basically totally brainwashed with what's in front of our eyes, and we forget we're all made the same thing. There will be a day, I bet, when we all die and we're all sat here laughing at the way that we act down here. I really do think that day will come. But with the Queen of Cups down here is what they would be saying to you, whoever that is, would be, don't drop your softness, don't drop your sweetness, don't drop your kindness. There must be years and years of evolution gone behind actually being able to perform in that way with compassion and putting other people first. So don't drop that, regardless of who's coming at you, what situation you're in. Let's have a look at other people around you. The Five of Wands here. If you've got people around you who are argumentative, who are, perhaps it may not be your argument, perhaps it's a work situation, or then again, perhaps it's family, and you feel it's your job to make smooth everything out. The Knight of Pentacles is not saying it's not your job, it's neither way. The Knight of Pentacles saying whatever you do, make sure that it's tempered, make sure that you deliver what you feel you need to deliver, because you're experimenting in life anyway, in a way that is measured and you can cope with it, and you're not that emotionally invested. You're just doing it, the Knight of Pentacles here, because it's just something that needs to be done, if that makes sense. So let's just say you've got a family problem. Let's just say you've got warring brothers or sisters or kids, and it's, it got to the point where it's really disturbing you here. It's like, do what you can, but don't get so emotionally invested that you can't sleep. You've got to let other people learn the lesson as well. You know, sometimes with this type of personality, as I feel it, you feel that you need to take care of everybody and make sure that everything is right, and it can be quite compulsive at sometimes, and can also make you a little bit sort of anxious. But this is like, don't forget that people have got their own growth too, so not try and fill everybody's blind spots in. What would they say about your confidence and the way that you deal with things? The Knight of Wands, the King of Wands, the Six of Wands with the High Priestess and the Justice. These are very feminine cards. These are very sort of look at me, forthright cards. So to me, that is a celebration of your sensitivity, of how intuitive you are, how you come from what I guess is a compassionate stance, how you want to help people, and to be really proud of that and to be a bit grisly with it. You know, to be a bit tougher with yourself and to acknowledge the fact that you've got these qualities and the fact that you use them. And in my mind, those two qualities, the kindness with a little bit of toughness, are absolutely perfect. There's no way, with let's say the Justice card and the High Priestess card, if you had just generally that, I'm going to say in your chart or inside your body in some way, where you were just very intuitive, very soft, very kind, very compassionate, we've still got to function. This is like a bit of a contradiction here. You've still got to function in the outside world. So I'm not saying like, go out and fight people, because that's the opposite from what I was saying, with let it flow through you. But you've still got to be tough enough to be able to shut off and to be able to say no, if that makes sense, which is more or less what these cards are saying, looking at other people and their problems from a practical viewpoint without being so emotionally invested. And these cards here are sort of saying, be tough and celebrate yourself. Know that what you're giving to the world is something that is much needed. And it's almost, I don't know how to say it. To me, it's like roaring. This sounds really stupid. Roaring with your compassion, if that makes sense. Doing it just because it's you, not because you're expecting anything. And you can pull away when you want to as well. And this makes me think of something I read probably about 10 years ago. I don't know if there's any truth in this. I always think of like planets as like different dimensions. Maybe we travel to them and we die, I don't know. And we learn certain lessons. And there was these like star systems when you think of certain vibrational levels, and there was one level which is supposed to be part of, I'm not sure if I believe this, but I like anything like this, part of what we're supposed to be bringing into this dimension at the moment, and that was related to the Pleiades, basically because of the, I don't know, I'm not really good with details, but it's basically something that relates to like Chichen Itza and all those places and their pyramids. And that was very much a love, and be kind and compassionate to others. And then there was another star system, which I think is more related to Taurus, which is more wisdom with that. And this to me feels like you know how to do the Pleiadian bit, the loving and the giving very well. But when you're going to get to the Arcturus bit, which will be the still having the compassion, still being able to love, but with wisdom, where you're not sacrificing yourself, where you've got that sort of toughness about you and you're confident in who you are. And that to me is like journeys and journeys, or lifetimes and lifetimes of hard work to get to that place. Really difficult, and you can nip into your mind so many times, different circumstances, and am I tough? Should I be tough in that situation? And every situation is different, and sometimes things come out that you think, okay, maybe that was a bit tough, but you've got to be able to stand in your own space and to not protect yourself, but to detach from yourself, I think are the words there, and do that with I say with spirit, but with like sort of a fierce confidence. Yeah, I don't think that makes sense anyway. That's what I've got. To summarise what I've got here with regards to your soul whisper would be somebody who's not here, somebody who perhaps is a spirit guide, maybe somebody who's passed away, maybe it's you from a different dimension. We don't know. This group, this person will be saying to you, you're doing an extremely good job. The softness, the qualities that you display, that you've worked on, that are you're quite comfortable inside yourself, are much needed at this time. The Queen of Cups and the Queen of Cups twice there. There's something very optimistic. There's something very fresh about your energy. And I think that at the moment in your lifetime as it sits, you're feeling a bit as if you could give up, as if, you see people winning who are fiercer, and, somehow that is the way that the world has worked up until now. But that isn't always going to be the way. And if you carry on in the vein that you are at the moment and just add a little bit of self-confidence, and a little bit of push there as well, you're going to realise right at the end that you've done the right thing. And to be very detached from other people's problems, to not jump in, because everybody else has got their lessons to learn as well, which are these cards here. Okay, pile number 1. I'm going to leave that there. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, I was going to apologise, and I'm not going to apologise. Thank you, bye-bye. Okay, this has got a feeling of finances and security in here. So I don't know if there's people watching this who have got quite a bit of earth inside them. You've got the Devil card on this side and 3 of Pentacles on this side. So to me, I feel there's either you've been through a struggle in your life to feel financially secure, whether it's with work, whether it's, there's a feeling of house in here, whether it's mortgage, wanting to, not being able to function until you feel that is smoothed out. You've got the Knight of Wands in the centre, which isn't really the same type of feeling here, but it could be with these 2 cards that you are prepared to work hard, that you've got a backstory of somebody that likes to succeed in work because you like to feel like you're comfortable in life. I don't know. You've got here as well the 10 of Pentacles here and the Justice card. So those cards together would mean that you're prepared to put the effort into life. You know how to work it in a way that you can have material comfort. You also may be quite fixed with regards to security issues as well with relationships. So you may be looking for marriage, or you like that person next to you who feels secure. So I don't know if this feels right. This is like a personality that I'm beginning to get a picture of somebody who has, and I think we just burn these patterns into our brains in past lives, where you need security. And you with the Knight of Wands here, you're probably somebody who's much loved by everybody else, somebody who's got a big personality, that's not afraid to stick their neck out and, basically make an impact in the world. You've got the Strength card down here, and this is what made me think of houses, because again, there's a security in this with a 4 and the Strength card. And the 6 of Swords there, what is that? Maybe the time in your life, this is like a healing card or a movement or a mental movement away from something that possibly doesn't work for you anymore. And you've got these like tough work cards here. And you've got the Strength card here, which is still fire. It's still the Knight of Wands, but it's almost like battered down, and you're beginning to understand that maybe that drive inside of you may be somebody else's drive, or something that you've heard, or something that you've outgrown. Maybe that need to settle in a relationship, once again, maybe something that you've heard or something that you've outgrown. It's something that served you well up until now with this Stable card here. But the Justice card here underneath, well, I guess are these different cards. This is like one that has a statement on its own. These 2 talk of a different thing. The Justice card is looking for balance. And I feel with the Journey card here that you've got to a point in your life where you actually feel balanced inside yourself. You recognise what your drive is, why you've got that drive. It's all becoming clear. And to me, it feels like you don't put yourself down for it. It just is where you are. That's who you are, and that's fine. Let's see what we've got here. It's lovely that you're finishing with the Strength here. And this card is beautiful. And you've got the Page of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles. To me, again, the Three of Pentacles, through actual worldly events, through connecting with people, seeing how different people function. And oftentimes I think that people who treat us badly in this lifetime often do us a great service. For whatever reason, the reason I'm thinking, if I can think of people who I felt that have hurt me, it's like I'm going to cry then, some violins that have hurt me, I always think back and think, well, now I know I don't want to be that person, and when those actions, can very much open up inside of me, I just shut it off and think, no, I've seen that before, and you recognise, you think, I'm going to stop that there. And it's continual, it's a continual fight. With the Page of Swords and the Knight of Pentacles here, once again, this is information, knowing, understanding. The Knight of Pentacles is grounding that. And the Strength card here is basically a big cheer from someone who's not here, saying you're doing a fantastic job in your journey here. With the Strength card twice, it's like you know how to fight, you know how to, it's not just fight, you know how to play with life, you know how to give out in life, you know that life is there for living. You also, with this financial bit here, you understand why you're doing it, but you're not so attached to it. And I was thinking, I've said this in a reading the other day, and I've mentioned Krishnamurti, I don't know if it was him, I still think it was him, but I actually Googled him afterwards thinking, did you wear nice shirts? But there was a quote from Krishnamurti when somebody said, if you're so spiritual, why do you spend so much money on your shirts and have like fine cotton shirts? And I think perhaps that time in India, where he, well, I don't know anything about him, to be honest, so I can't really comment, but I'm just wondering whether he didn't have any money, and perhaps everybody else around him didn't have like nice fine white shirts, and he said, oh, it doesn't really matter, does it? It's not important. And he was right, it wasn't important. If you spent, I don't know, 50 quid on a shirt, it didn't make anybody else have more who didn't have more, if you know what I mean. Bad way of describing that. But to me, what I've got here is a picture of the things that you have wanted in your life. You're almost treating as it would be nice to have them, but it's not a desperate need. And maybe when you were younger, because it's like feels as if it moves this way with a journey one. Maybe when you were younger, you had ideals of what you wanted to do by the time you were 20, 30, 40, 50. Maybe you wanted the house, maybe you wanted the marriage, maybe you wanted security and the best job. And then these cards here are saying, well, it's when you stuff all those, fiery desires down into your pants and you say, actually, I'm going to use my head, the female rather than the animal here. You're going to use your head and say, well, it's all it is all a game. And you're doing a very good job because you're ending in the Strength card here of understanding that, finding balance in yourself. You can almost like, with the Justice card here, that balance is seeing again. I said this in pile number 1. I had this image of like sluice gates, and I don't really know what a sluice gate is, but maybe I do, of opening up. And I feel that's like energies that we get going through us. Some of them we're born with. Maybe you have got more earthy energy. Maybe you do feel more secure when everything is around you and you can touch and hold it, and you've got a house and you're not struggling for your rent all the time. Or some people with lots of air, aren't really that bothered as long as they're stimulated. We're all different. So you've got trickles coming through your sluice gate, which you're born with. And then there's certain planetary energies, which I think come in, like the sluice gates go up, and then these energies come in, and we go through good times, bad times, trials, tribulations in our life. So it adds to your basic mix here. And this is sort of saying that you've got to the point that whatever comes through that sluice gate now, you're easy to play with it. You're fine, you're okay, you know who you are, and you can almost like watch it happen rather than be involved in it, rather than being stuck in the middle of life situations. That's moving away, that's finding balance, and the Strength card is using what I guess is your higher mind, I would say there, rather than your instincts. I got to have this, I don't look as good as this person, or I didn't get to this position in my job, or do you remember that person that hurt me when I was like 15, or that boyfriend that didn't want to go out with me, that type of thing. It's like, oh, okay, that's it. It's just basically playing with things coming through your mental sluice gate. So let me put some more on this to see what else I can get. Yeah, there's a feeling here that maybe you're slightly fixed in some way, or were slightly fixed in your youth, where when you were younger, you used to either block things out, be slightly defensive if anybody questioned you. And now with the Justice card over here, the journey inside you has to be, you can play with yourself more, you're more pliable mentally. You don't identify with what other people think of you as much, or what other people have with these sort of earthy cards here. And the Devil card is very much, things we can consume in life. It's like you don't need them as much. The Justice card is like, I can remember having a very envious moment when I was I don't know if it was envious, but it was like recognising something that I actually thought I wanted at that time. I must have been in my 20s, and I think I've said this before as well. Let me move these cards up a bit. And I was in San Francisco, and I love travelling because it makes me feel alive and see things from a different perspective. And we were in Sausalito, I think we say it like that, and it was just... There was like really expensive type of houses overlooking I think it was a bay. And I kind of thinking, I would really like that. And I always remember that feeling because I don't really get that attached to earthy things. But I kind of thinking, that's a weird thought. I really wanted a house over the bay in some area that just felt quite vibrant. I didn't get it. I didn't even get the perfume that I talked about in my newsletter. Oh no, that is a lie. I got the samples. So here to me, what was I just saying? The Justice card here is, you've played with all those situations and you allowed those situations to go through you rather than identifying or getting consumed yourself with your own thoughts on what you feel that you need to feel content. Let's have a look here. We were talking about the lady here, and it's funny how similar these look as well. The lady, as I said earlier, is the one that bats down or keeps the lion calm, and the lion is a basic instincts. And I think, if we just go through life each day, and how many times do you want to react with your basic instincts? It is basically, it's a constant struggle, isn't it? And because life is fun, and to be impetuous and to be, in the moment is fun, and to react childishly can be fun. But when we get to a certain age, probably about 15, we need to stop doing that a little bit more. And this, to me, from the person who isn't here or the group that aren't here, would be you're doing a fantastic job at being, I'm going to say the word genteel with regards to how you react to people, how you treat yourself. There's a kindness for yourself in this, which is often overlooked, isn't it? Oftentimes I think, not everybody, but more introspective, maybe more introverted people, I don't know, introspective I think is enough there, can often break themselves because they take things inwards and they try and understand it. And, life is a whole flipping amalgamation of difficult times and good times, but I think people can often be quite hard on themselves. I know that I can often be quite hard on myself, and sometimes, the situation, I've totally misinterpreted it. Anyway, let's have a look. Let's go for the Justice one. What would that say? What you're doing well. By being assertive with regards to what you know is right. Okay, this is the picture I've got here for pile number 2. With regards to your soul whisper, I feel that when you were younger, you were driven by, I'm not going to say driven by demons, but the Devil card there, you were driven by things that where you thought you needed to be, whether it was boyfriend, whether it was girlfriend, whether it was house, whether it was job, whether it was exams, maybe perhaps from family situations, maybe it's part of your personality. You thought at certain times in your life that you needed to achieve certain things. You've got the Knight of Wands in here, and you've got the King of Wands at the bottom. So there's a playfulness in this, but there's also that ability to be able to go out and get these things if you want them. So I feel that you've worked really hard, but there's a feeling here that you've almost quelled the Strength card and the Strength card and the Knight of Wands here and the Fire here. You've quelled the fire. You've almost you're reasoning with it a bit. You're reasoning that you don't have to attain these things to become happy. You've detached yourself. You're quite cut off from who you were before. It's like, okay, I used to want that, as that Sausalito thing I was saying, but now I can see through it. It just feels a bit funny. It's like something I can smile or laugh at. And there's a really strong feeling here as well that you have got an incredibly, or you would be when you get to those pearly gates, somebody is going to compliment you on your compassion with others and with yourself and your growth emotionally. Your ability to see life as a bit more of a game, your ability to not get so consumed with what's in front of your eyes and to be leading through your life with your heart, with the Queen of Wands, the Queen of Cups looking so similar to this woman who quells the beast. Beast is fine, but understand it. Okay, pile number 2. I'm going to leave that there. Thank you very much. Bye. Okay, not really. This is quite a different pile to pile number 1 and pile number 2. Pile number 3, this has got more of it's difficult to explain, to be honest. It's got one of those like star beings. I'm away from my own group type of feeling. It has, in the raw material, I don't know if anybody's read those books, they're really, really interesting books. I read them probably about, 10 years ago. There's something called like the Wanderers, and these are like supposed souls, I suppose, that don't want to be here. They're like forced into being here. It's like you go back into that really dark, disgusting place. Try and help people a little bit. Go on, have a go at that. And they're like, oh no. But the thing is, I can remember reading this and thinking, oh my God, that's awful. It reminds you of films. It was like the worst thing that can happen is that they come down and they get lost in what I guess is such an enticing, dark illusion. I don't know how I'm going with this here. With the Hierophant card at the end, that always reminds me of scriptures and being the middleman in some way. That's where it's coming from. You've got here the 5 of Wands, the 5 of Swords, which is like antagonistic and dark and fighting. And basically, we must look, let's just say there are creatures or beings outside of this world, which will be in different dimensions, and they will seep in at times, I'm sure. And I think that, a lot of people are quite open to this, especially if we take lots of drugs. With the 5 of Swords here, I forgot what I was going to say then. Oh yeah, that was it. We must look so barbaric. Oh, I just think I'm not a vegetarian. Because I'm not a vegetarian then. Oh my Lord, I'm not a vegetarian. But I sit in there, I eat chicken and I eat fish. And occasionally, because the rest of the family has it and there's absolutely nothing in, this is why I'm not vegetarian, I will have a shepherd's pie and it feels very wrong to me. I'm not saying it's wrong for everybody, it just feels wrong. And anyway, that's got nothing to do with anything. But I do think, that was it. Sorry, quick little story here. I was going for a run about 2 years ago, and there's a guy who lives next door who was really mean. He's a really mean man. And anyway, he was talking about he had cows, he slaughtered this cow, and he was basically saying, if you want to buy some meat for some extortionate price, I've got some meat. And he's explaining what this meat's like, basically, the 2 cows that the kids were petting. And he's saying, and he's going all these like adjectives of how fantastic this meat is. And my face is just going, and I'm like, oh. And he says, you don't like meat, do you? Right at the end, I was like, no, not really. And I kept thinking, my God, we are barbaric. We are, and I don't just like meat eating, but basically, and I think we're getting better, to be honest. I think basically, at the moment, I think things are all over the place, but I also feel it's a bit of a tipping point until we become a little bit more aware of ourselves, a little bit more aware of, that we're all in it together, I'm hoping here. So, you to me to you, the Chuckle Brothers, the 5 of Swords here and the Hierophant card here, I feel that you came down here in disgust, and that's why you got the 5 of Pentacles here. You feel shut out. The things that you see in front of you don't feel right. To have the 9 of Wands, you're hiding behind those sticks, but in the middle here, you're actually beginning to look out. You're beginning to understand things a bit. To me, it feels like you may also be quite detached from people, that you don't like to get too involved, because it does seem a bit strange. I don't often have these type of readings. The reason why, to be totally honest, is I don't like to encourage people feeling special. I am magic. I did come here for a particular reason, but this has got this feeling in it. A special card here, the special and being proud of yourself card here, and the Page of Wands and the Page of Cups. Now, what would that mean? Don't know. Five of Swords is the fight and possibly the not being able to identify with it, being slightly detached, letting people do it. Okay, this would be almost to me like a kind understanding. And I do think that people who are interested in, I don't know if, not everybody uses it, but there's so much to be had from astrology, from tarot, from psychology, from typing people, to allow us to look at the shit bits inside ourselves and the bits that need improving, but also to recognise the good bits and that, to acknowledge that as well, not just always that bit, those bits, but this is like confidence, moving with it in the real world. And the Page of Cups is kindness. It's you begin to feel, it's like coming down here and feeling sorry for people. And this is you like watching when before you read it want to come anyway. There's a sadness in this as well. This is really and I don't like to say these things for reasons I've said here, but this is really like a star being type reading. And the Nine of Cups here, okay, this is where it gets better. The Nine of Cups, the Star card, even this card, the Ten of Wands, has a feeling that you carry, wait for this, the whole of humanity's troubles on your back in some way. You may be somebody who likes to help groups of people, or when there's something on TV that's distressing, you carry that around with you all night or month or whatever. It's like something that you feel you need to act on. And the Hierophant card here is that you really are the middleman, that you need to, with the Nine of Cups and the Star card, is give people hope in some way. And that is your message from those star beings in your group that shoved you out down here. It's like give people hope. Now you've got through the shock of being here and you've got the Page of Cups, is that you make people, there's a kindness about you that you make people feel good. And now that you've adjusted a bit to feeling like not only were you put here for punishment, but also a sadness towards people. We all need help down here, don't we? We're all struggling, I feel. And to not so much identify with it as this is what's going to happen. It's like to help all of us to help each other, to try and just lift ourselves a little bit much. And with the Nine of Cups and the Star card there is you are adept. You've done this like through different dimensions, different lifetimes before, where you have carried the weight of other people to try and help them. And the Hierophant card here is that remember that. That is your message. You're doing a good job. You've didn't want to be here in the first place. You're doing a good job. The Nine of Cups is there's something that you have inside your soul that is very much happy and full and whole. A whole soul. You were complete. And you were very well, at least incredibly close to the Nine of Cups. Maybe not quite the 10, but the Nine of Cups is, is like, and I see people like this in life. They just are very much in the moment, very much wanting to be part of the group and not really having any negative thoughts about people around them. And I can admire it so much. And the Star card here is doing it for a bigger purpose. The Star card is the water is basically a flow of energy that I think that comes through certain people, through all of us, but there's a certain amount that comes at certain times that some people let them flow through them to reach a different mindset, I guess, a different way of living. And the Hierophant card is saying that is your job. You brought in at this moment to be able to do that. It's like not so much deliver the scriptures, but deliver that information in with regards to how you are with people, how you deal with situations. And thank you. The other thing they would say, we thank you for doing it because we didn't have to. So this is quite a big pile. I quite like piles like this because it just gives a different perspective to things. I feel that you've battled. through a lot to be here because you've not found it easy. I feel that you have got to a stage where you've got compassionate understanding for others. And I feel that there's something about you that just by being yourself, just by being seen, just with how complete you are and how far you've struggled and how much you understand is very much serving a purpose at this time. Oh, lovely. Well done. Well done. Okay, I'm going to leave it there, pile number 3. I hope that helps. I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye.